Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're jumping into the really fascinating history of RC cars. We've got some great source material here.
Yeah, we'll be looking at how they evolved, from those early, almost novelty items right up to the complex hobby it is now.
Covering roughly, 1966 to basically the present day, 2025?
That's the plan. And our mission really is to pinpoint those key moments, the big innovations, the companies that really shaped things.
And especially look at why a brand like Tamiya has had such a huge and lasting impact.
Exactly. Where do we start? The beginning, I guess.
Let's do it. Mid-60s, 1966 specifically. Our sources point to the Elettronica Giocattoli Ferrari 250 LM.
Ah, yes, the EG Ferrari, often called the first proper commercial RC car.
It was nitro-powered.
Yeah, which made sense. That tech was already common in model airplanes, so it was sort of a natural transfer, 1/12 scale, too.
Trying to capture that motorsport magic, right? Even back then.
Especially the controls, probably pretty basic, like maybe not even proportional, or very early proportional at best.
Yeah, think simple on-off steering, maybe? Not the smooth control you get now.
But it wasn't the absolute first attempt, right? There were earlier things like that Masudaya bus from 55 and hobbyists messing around.
Right, it was more like a convergence. You had model cars, like tether cars and slot cars becoming popular.
And radio control tech itself was getting better, crucially, with proportional control starting to develop.
Okay, so moving into the late 60s and especially the 70s, things started changing faster.
Definitely. A big shift was power. Nitro was dominant, but then electric cars really arrived.
And Tamiya was key there.
Oh, yeah. Their 1976 Porsche 934 Turbo RSR, that 1/12 scale electric. That was a landmark model.
Why electric? What was the advantage?
Well, it was cleaner, quieter, honestly, just easier for a lot of people to get into compared to tuning a nitro engine. More accessible.
Makes sense. And control systems kept getting better.
Yeah, proportional control became more common, more refined. Though early AM radios, they had issues. Interference was a big one, juggling crystals.
I remember the crystals.
Yeah.
And speed controllers. They weren't always electronic.
No, not at first for electrics. You have mechanical speed controllers, MSCs, basically a resistor and wiper arm. Kind of crude generated heat.
Wow. Before the ESCs, the electronic speed controls started showing up mid-70s.
Right. Companies like Joby were early, and Tamiya put one in their 1979 Hilux kit. Much more efficient.
And the cars themselves were evolving too, chassis-wise.
Big time. From simple pan cars to designs with actual suspension, fiberglass, aluminum started appearing.
Tamiya's Rough Rider in 79, that was a big step.
Huge. Independent suspension on all four wheels really set the stage for off-road, and this was also when the kit building culture really took off.
Associated Electrics, others started making kits too.
Yep. But Tamiya, they entered with a tank kit in 74, then that Porsche in 76.
But 79 was the game changer for them.
Absolutely. The Sand Scorcher and Rough Rider, that kicked off the whole off-road buggy boom, which brings us nicely to the 80s.
Ah, the golden era.
You could definitely call it that. Explosive growth, racing scene took off, tech just leaped forward.
And off-road buggies were king.
Pretty much. They made the hobby huge, and Tamiya was right at the forefront. Think of their classics.
The Frog, the Grasshopper, Hornet.
The Hot Shot, the first 4WD, and the Boomerang. Those first five are iconic.
What was Tamiya's secret sauce, do you think?
Well, their motto was first in quality around the world, and they lived it. High-quality kits, amazing scale realism even on the buggies.
And the build itself was part of the fun, right?
Totally. Plus, their marketing was brilliant. Those detailed catalogs sponsoring the Lotus F1 team, it felt premium.
And technologically, what defined the 80s cars?
Oil-filled shock absorbers became common, much better suspension. 4WD started appearing, like on the Hot Shot and the Schumacher CT.
Batteries were mostly Nitsets.
Yeah, nickel-cadmium packs were standard.
Yeah.
And that little workhorse, the Mabuchi RS540 brushed motor, was in almost everything.
Of course, Tamiya wasn't alone. Associated had the RC-10.
A legendary race buggy. Kyosho had the Scorpion, Optima, Ultima. Schumacher was huge in racing, too. Lots of competition pushing things forward.
Okay, so then we hit the 90s and early 2000s. Another big shift.
Yeah, a sort of technological renaissance. Radio gear went digital AM, gave way to FM for better reliability.
Then synthesized radios, no more crystals.
Right. And eventually, the first hints of 2.4 gigahertz spread spectrum tech started appearing, like from Spectrum. Game changer for interference.
And ESCs got way better, too?
Oh, yes. MOSFETs replaced older tech, making them smaller, more efficient. Features like dynamic braking, even some basic programming started showing up.
And the power source. batteries and motors.
Big changes there. Brushless motors started appearing, offering way more power and efficiency than brush.
And batteries moved beyond NiCad.
Yep, first to NiMH nickel metal hydride, then the real revolution, lipo lithium polymer batteries. Much lighter, more power density.
Though Tamiya maybe didn't adopt brushless and lipo quite as quickly across the board.
Not initially in their mainstream kits, no. They often offered them as upgrades later. But the potential was clear.
Chassis design kept evolving too.
For sure. We saw the rise of electric touring car racing, really kicked off by Tamiya's TA01 chassis in '91.
Right, more scale-looking cars racing on pavement.
Exactly. And more advanced materials like carbon fiber and machined aluminum became common, especially in racing kits. Suspension got even more refined.
And this is when ready-to-run cars started getting really big. RTRs.
Yeah. Brands like Traxxas and HPI really pushed the RTR market, making it easier to get started.
How did Tamiya respond to that?
They kept their focus on kits, but developed key chassis lines, the TA belt drive and TB shaft drive touring cars, the fun M chassis minis, and their TRF Tamiya Racing Factory division for top-level competition, winning world championships.
And they did offer RTRs too.
Yes, their expert built or XB series, basically factory-assembled versions of their popular kits, so they catered to both markets, but kits remained core.
Which kind of brings us to the modern era, 2010s up to now.
Pretty much. Today, brushless motors, lipo batteries, 2.4 gigahertz radios. It's all standard stuff.
And a hobby splintered a bit, more specialized.
Totally. You've got dedicated rock crawlers, drift cars, super fast bashers, short course trucks, plus a continued, maybe even growing interest in pure scale realism.
And Tamiya's place in all this today.
It's interesting. They're still very much a kit-focused company. Scale, detail, realism, and that build experience, that's still their thing.
Leveraging their history, too, with all the re-releases.
Absolutely. Those re-releases are hugely popular. They have the XB line for RTR, but their heart is with the builder, the scale enthusiast.
They do use modern tech, though.
Oh, yeah. They offer their own brushless systems, life batteries as options or in certain kits, but they pick and choose. It feels deliberate.
So if you look at their 2024-2025 lineup, it's a mix.
Exactly. You see new chassis like the MB-01, BT-01, updates like the DT-04 buggy alongside re-releases like the Hornet EVO. It's that blend of new innovation and celebrating their classics.
So summing up Tamiya's legacy, it's pretty significant.
Undeniably, they were pivotal in growing the hobby, especially in that 80s boom and the touring car era.
And their philosophy quality, the build, the detail, that really sets them apart, doesn't it?
It really does. It's created this incredibly loyal following over decades.
Okay, so here's a final thought to leave everyone with. Tamiya puts so much emphasis on the process, the journey of building the kit.
Yeah, the satisfaction of creating it yourself.
How does that square with, our modern world that often wants everything instantly? Ready to run, plug and play.
It's a really interesting contrast, isn't it? It maybe says something about different ways we find value. Is it the end result or the path you took to get there?
What does that mean for hobbies, for how we engage with tech going forward? Something to think about. Thanks for this deep dive.
My pleasure. Lots to unpack there.